To begin.
Oh, there's the cheesy music.
There's the music.
Rags, I love your hair today.
Oh,
Love the pigtails.
when you've got long COVID hair, you can make braids.
They're really cute.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is October. What is today? October the 9th, 2021. This is the Saturday service. I am your host, the service, Saturday, because I screwed it up. I am joined here on Zoom live with a whole bunch of my friends. Hey, friends, what do you say? You say hi to all the people who are watching. So, these are all people who are live. If you are watching this on a recording, you can join the live people if you sign up at rotb.org and you get the newsletter. You will have a link also to join the Saturday service live. If you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, I think that's pretty awesome. If you want to go the full experience, join us here. Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is going to be it's going to be a day. We're going to see what happens. I want to start by bringing in my friend James. A lot of you know is in he's being held in prison. And I asked him this same question that I asked you guys. I said this, to the question, do you believe in God? I don't care about your answer. And he answered me. There's a delay, so this note from him back is a few weeks back. And then I wrote, however, to the question, would the last 5 people with whom you've interacted say you've been kind, that I care deeply. So to the question, do you believe in God? I don't care about your answer. However, to the question, would the last 5 people with whom you've interacted say that you were kind, that I care deeply? Where does it say? So there it is. However, to the question, would the last 5 people with whom you've interacted say you were kind, I care deeply? And I received this response from James dated September 29th. He said, I got your love letter, and then let me answer your questions. It says, here, I'll share the screen with you guys. He wrote, do I believe in God? Spinoza's God, yes, I believe in God, and she ain't picking up the phone these days, kind of like my mother. I'm a poor child of God. And then she wrote, then he wrote, would the last 5 people I've interacted with think I was kind? And he wrote, I like the God question better. It doesn't require that much from me. Which I think is exactly, and then he moves on to explain that he understands my point. But that is the point. The God question is a distraction. It's a distraction. Whether or not you say you believe in God, and if you want to get into a debate over if you believe in God, and it's a fascinating topic, certainly, but it doesn't mean a thing compared to how do you treat people. And how would the people with whom you interact say you treated them? And if James, who is in prison, can work his butt off to try to be kind to people, well, we can too. Good. All right.
Amen.
Amen. Can I get a few more amens? Because that always feels
Amen.
nice.
Amen.
There.
Amen.
Thank you. I want us to start. I want to say today what this is about. And I left last service, and I felt really, I felt a bit, I felt like maybe I wasn't hitting all the notes that I wanted to hit, and that maybe not everyone understood. So in the word service, I'm thinking of it as that this is not a worship service, because what are we worshiping? But it's a service in that, kind of like a filling station can be called a service, or in school there's an in-service, that it's a service because it's supposed to be something that serves us, something that helps us, something that gives us some tools, something that helps us to figure out our priorities in life. And that being said, as a lot of you know, And let me say good morning to the people who just joined in. Hi, glad to see you guys are here. A lot of you know I taught high school math for a lot of years after leaving organized religion. And I realized something teaching it, and I had a very hard time explaining it to high school students, and I'm hoping that you guys can have a bit of an easier time understanding it, is that when I gave a quiz or a test, that I wasn't trying to be punitive. I wasn't trying to dog the students. I was really trying to see as here's an opportunity for you to know how much you know. Right? And it's easy to say as the teacher, this is an opportunity for you to see how much you know. But I always did it as fairly as I could, and students could always retake tests. I said, I don't care when you understand the material. That's of no consequence to me, just that you do. And so if on the test you find out that you couldn't do the section on absolute values, fantastic. Now you know what you need to study, relearn the stuff on absolute values, and we'll move on. Similarly, there are a lot of topics that we have dealt with in the Saturday service. And today, and probably we're going to have to go into next week, I want to do a mega review of all these different tools. I have a whole bunch of them. And I want us to do a review. And then in 2 weeks' time, and just notice what goes on within yourself when I say this, because we are fascinatingly wired. And you know, there are neural tracks, and we go straight down it. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have an exam. And just notice, like, inside, if that's like, oh my God, now I'm panicking. How many of you, all right, come on, let me, how many of you, when you hear that there might be a test, how many of you think that's a little bit scary? Right? Even though you know that this is completely ungraded, it's open notes, you can't fail, it still kind of gets us, so I want it to be, and I might have to say this a few times, I want the test to be just somewhere so you can see how much you've learned, and so that you can see, and I know it feels like hot air coming from the guy on this side of it. I want you to see what it is that you still need to review or want to review. You don't have to do any of this. Hey, you're an adult, except for my daughter. But she doesn't have to be here. So you're all up to doing on your own. We're going to review some things, but before we do that, there was some homework from last week. And I asked you to go out into the world in the last week and witness moments of kindness, and to really try to focus your eyes. Right? The old song, accentuate the positive. I would sing it, but then the copyright infringement flags would come up because it was too close to the original song. That's a joke. Question, how many of you, before we actually look at it, let me ask this. How many of you have right hands that you can put in the air right now? This is an old teacher trick, is you get them going with the early ones first. Okay, now, how many of you, by a show of left hands, believe you have free will to raise your hand if you want to? That's a trick question, right? Because if you didn't have free will, then it gets really confusing. And just a little footnote, that little joke about free will, I found in my thesis, Sadia Gaon in the year 1008 asked that question. So I like that bad joke has been 1,000 years old. How many of you witnessed, how many of you remembered to look for acts of kindness in the last week? 2, 3, 4, 5 people? Okay, good. And good. No, that's wonderful. Wonderful. And does anyone who had a moment of kindness that they witnessed feel like they can share it with us? You have a moment of kindness that you witness that you feel comfortable to share? And I'll just keep repeating that until somebody puts their hand up in the air. Go ahead, Emily.
My daughter coming here to help me take care of little puppies.
That's very dear. That's very dear. That's witnessing a moment of kindness. And I saw Anne had her hand up, and then Lee.
Yeah, mine was just online. The local police department tweeted out about a missing young woman, and within minutes there were about 800 retweets of total strangers helping to find this young woman.
And just noticing, it's amazing how we can put our brains towards noticing the positive and how that helps. I love that. Thank you for that, Anne. Lee, you had a witnessed moment of kindness you want to share.
I guess I'm kind of biased with this because, as most of you know, I'm looking after my mother who has a brain tumor, and in the last week she had 3 courses of radiation in the span of 3 days. It was pretty crazy. So mine is a little bit skewed because I saw so many acts of kindness in that radiation clinic. I can't articulate just how wonderful these people are.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, the one thing that really sticks out in my mind is, thank God my mom isn't here. So when she first checked in for the first radiation appointment, she was pretty nervous because she didn't know what she was expecting. And she said to the receptionist, she says, "I'm not wearing a bra today." Because of course she thought it was like an MRI, magnetic resonance, of course, with bra, with underwires. Boink! Can you imagine sticking to a magnetic thing? Anyway, the radiation said, "I'm not wearing a bra either." And the woman behind us who's being treated for breast cancer said, "I'm not wearing a bra either." And it brought us all together in a moment of levity and happiness, and just it brought the tension down so much.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Lee. Yeah, just a little moments that the little moments that have us. Now I had a different way of looking at this question. Did anyone happen to witness themselves being kind in this past week in a moment where you thought, oh, golly gee, I can't even believe that I was kind that moment? Anyone slip and be kind by accident this last week? Okay, that's it. So we're going to have to try that one again next week.
I got one.
Go, Diane.
Well, it's hard to explain of the technical stuff, but like I mentioned before, I help providers do electronic medical records. And I had somebody call, reach out in one way and then put a ticket in. So they reached out now to the help desk in some way or fashion, at least twice, because they couldn't figure out their login department. Now, coming off a week of just the week prior being crazy busy, and then another week of being crazy busy, I had mentioned to my boss earlier I was going to lose my mind if I had one more silly question. And so I after I said that, I kind of, checked in with myself and said, okay, well, I can't lose my mind. I can do better than this. So when I got to this provider, it was just a matter of just looking for recent and search. There's a tab that says search.
That's it.
So I smiled and said, oh, I know just how to help you with this, with a cheerful attitude. Click this button over here on the left, and you can find what you're looking for.
Well done, Diane. Well done. Folks, it's really sometimes as easy as just putting our minds to doing it. But let me also be clear here. I'm not advocating any kind of religious life, spiritual religious life, where things are always hunky-dory and all you have to do is put a smile on top of it and everything's going to be all right, because that's just some bullshit. Okay.
I got one.
Go for it.
Okay, so we have all sorts of depression, manic depression, and all sorts of issues running through our family. Various people have been impacted by it. And, you know, I've been going through my own stress with my MBA and trying to get it done and everything. And I get a call from my niece from Utah, and she is laying in a parking lot, prone in a parking lot with a massive, she has gone through a massive anxiety attack, and she thinks she might have just gotten fired. She has been going on a downhill spiral. She's lost her insurance because of her previous unemployment, and so she's not on her medication. She does have schizophrenia. She does have manic depression. And she's like, I was working at a temp job, cleaning dishes at this college, and this guy came up to me, and he had speech disorder, and I was having a hard time understanding him. I felt horrible. And then I saw these other kids come by, and they were mocking him, and I freaked out on them, and I started screaming, and I just lost it. And I told I let loose, and then I told my boss, I gotta go, and he said, just go. And she got out into the parking lot. She was under such stress, she couldn't find her keys. She lost her earbuds underneath the car. She was on the ground trying to get her earbuds, and she just called me from that position. And I said, well, Zoe, what you did defending this kid from being mocked, that wasn't wrong.
Right.
Maybe next time we can think of better ways of handling it. But you did not do wrong.
Yeah.
And I said, if they fire you over this, you don't want to work for them anyway. Because you only want to work for employees that are willing to stand up to you for doing right things.
Amen, Jocelyn.
Amen.
Amen.
And, you know, just teaching her or reminding her to take a deep breath, and reminding her that assault really is not good for the criminal record. And
That's true.
and really make the job prospects worse. And next time, it's okay to look at somebody and take 10 deep breaths forcefully if you have to while glaring at them. But it's, you know, helps you get under control. And so
I love it, Jocelyn. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing it. Here, there's a thing that Larry often says. He says, kindness might not always work. It's just that its opposite never does.
Right.
Yeah.
I might say that again.
Oh.
Kindness might not always work.
Work.
It's just that its opposite never does.
Yeah.
I have one.
I go, Candace, go ahead, and then I'm going to move us on. Was that Candace?
Nope.
No, sorry, that was me.
Oh, go, Allie. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. I was gonna say I have a 3-month-old daughter.
Come on. No.
Oh, no.
Hold on, that's open microphones.
What the heck?
That's
What was that?
it's somebody else's mic got picked up. Don't. That was not towards you.
That was my dog jumping up on the kitchen table. Sorry, folks.
Okay, it's all right.
She's just a puppy.
Go ahead, Allie.
I was just gonna say I have a 3-month-old daughter, and right now she's my husband's upstairs with her, and it's kind of amazing when you have a little banshee scream at you at 2 a.m, pulling your hair and puking on you, and you still just turn and go, oh, I love this little thing so much, and I'm gonna do everything I can to take care of you.
That's love. Amen.
Amen.
Glad you're here and your hair is clean. Folks, so I want something just happened, and I want us to note it, because this is all of the tools, all of the things that we're going to review. They're just tools. Hold on, I'm trying to get back to my zoom in on me screen. I am not able to do that right now. Oh, that's why. Okay. There I am. Hi. All of the tools in the world do nothing unless you do something with them, right? You can have a garage filled with tools, a toolbox filled with tools, but unless you use the tools, they're meaningless. They're just stuff. all of the tools that we're going to review, all of the tools that we've been talking about the past 77 weeks, all of these tools are just towards kindness. That's what they're all for. And a moment ago, while Allie was talking, someone else's microphone that was hot went live, right? Because the dog jumped up. It's how we all react to when something goes wrong, something goes off. That's what all these tools are about. And do you need these tools to be kind? No. But my hope is that in looking at all of these things that we have, all of these little ways that all these spiritual tools that I've been giving, it's towards kindness and love. Okay. Before we get to the tool review, which we're about to do, as it has become our custom, we take a minute of time just to think about those who need our prayers. Joe, you have a list of people, and if you want to add people to the list, put their names in the chat. We'll make sure they're added in our hearts this week, and we'll put them on our list for next week. And if you want to add them into more, go to the Religion Outside the Box Clubhouse, and you can add on to the prayer list there. Joe, go ahead. Tell us, who are we praying for this week?
This week, Marta, Arletta, Bruna, Ken, Joe, Matt and family, Carol, which is Lee's mom. Linda needs her prescriptions badly. And there's a report of that the love that we send has done some good, and there's changes for Marisa, Riza, and Abbas. So
Wonderful
our love makes a difference.
Just because we are not guaranteeing results from our prayers, I just want that to be clear. Double-blind studies still need to be done, but it is nice to know that people are praying for you, and it does feel good. So let's take a minute. We're going to start right here when the clock, my little clock says we'll go for 1 minute starting now. All right. And the dog is adding in prayers for all of his or her friends.
Dog prayers.
Um,
I figure out how to kill
there's something that I will add in about this is part of what we have built here, and I say we because this is not me, this is all of us who are here have built, is we've made an online congregation, and we've made an online congregation, and that's made out of people. It's a community. And that's why we add words to pray for each other and to think about each other. It's because this is a group, and we like to look out for each other. And that being said, I'm working on, and my friend, did I tell you guys about Jordan and my chess game on Monday? Did I tell you? Because I'm considering a stalemate to be a win when I play him. And on Monday when we played, I lost again. I love playing with Jordan, and he's starting to feel really guilty that he beats me all the time. I'm like, Jordan, I'm having a great time. It's fine. But I got close to a stalemate. Any which way, Jordan is helping, looking at looking at data from Zoom, and we're trying to compile and see people who haven't been with the group for a while, and see if we can suss out by looking at old who hasn't been here. So next week, hopefully, I'll be able to share with you. Here are some people. If you have a way of reaching out to them, to please do. We'll follow up on that in a moment. All right, let's do a little bit of review. we are all learning. That's what we're doing. Oh my goodness. That's what we're doing here. We're learning, and a lot of you might remember we did this exercise we called pinky thumb. Do you guys remember this, where you have your hands, face them towards yourself, close your hands in, and you put out a pinky and a thumb? And then the game was, and I need to explain why we do the game. It is not, and then you close the pinky thumb down and you put the other pinky and thumb up. Come on, people. I can see you there. So you're going to do pinky thumb, pinky thumb. And the game is not to be able to do it at the fastest speed possible. The idea behind it was, and this is the review I want us to do, is that there are stages to learning. And what I wanted us to do in Pinky Thumb was to watch ourselves learn about how well we can do Pinky Thumb, and then to apply that towards something like being kind to people when they're being assholes. Quick review of Pinky Thumb, and I hope to be writing a little test review for everybody. So we might go through this a little faster than you're comfortable with, but if you haven't been here for a while, that's all right. Let's see. Can we remember the 5 stages to learning? There are 5 stages to learning. The first one is you can't do it at all. The last one is that you can do it fluidly. There's no problem. And there were 3 stages in between. Before you can do anything perfectly, and after the time at which you can't do it at all, there are some stages in between, and I'm going to quickly burn through them. Here is you need much support. You need someone to say, okay, put that pinky down, lift that pinky up.
Support.
Stage 3 is where you need a hint from the outside. You need someone to say, I bet you can remember the next thing to do. Stage 4 is you get a hint from yourself. You give yourself a hint. And stage 5 is that you can do it perfectly fluidly yourself. I might be going a little fast, but give me a little bit of visual if this is reminding you of where we are. Okay, we're going to keep going. This one we looked at last week. This is always fun. I like this. So would you all do me the favor and everyone say the word that's here on the card?
Roar.
Roar. Thank you. And the roar can someone remember, these are the different qualities of, what's the word I'm looking for? These are qualities of?
Love.
These are qualities of love. The 4 parts of love are, to love, you need to first
Recognize.
You need to recognize. The least loving thing you can do is to ignore someone. A, you need to
acknowledge
or accept. You need to accept someone for who they are. You
Understand.
You have to understand. You have to say that I might not have the thought to do that, but I understand why you did. And finally, there's the second R, which is
respect.
It's respond.
Respond.
That's all right. And again, if you and Ray, I know you well enough to say, if you get it wrong on the first guess, that's fine. It's not. You're still a good person. It just means you didn't get that right answer right there. So the 4 qualities of love are RAR. Those are
Recognize, accept,
understand,
and respond.
And you can do this with other people, and you can do it internally. To recognize yourself. These are my limitations. Accept yourself. This is how I am right now. Understand. If I were any other than who I am, I'd be other than who I am. I understand. And respond. And be kind to yourself. Okay, we've done 2. We're doing well. We got more. We talked a long time ago about this idea. About having a spiritual barometer. Does that one ring a bell? Give me a shake of a head, a nod. A spiritual barometer. A little bit? How many people are a little bit or less? Okay, a little bit or less. So spiritual barometer is this idea that when we wake up in the morning, we're not exactly the same person we were when we fell asleep. And by lunchtime, we might be a third whole other person. And the state of our spiritual religious life changes. And I use the example of my brother-in-law, Bob. When Bob calls on the phone and I see it's his name on the phone, there are times where I think, oh, yay, it's Bob. And then there are times where I think, what the fuck does he want? It's a barometer because he's doing the same thing. He's just calling me. But my internal workings might be different on this moment. And if you can figure out some of your spiritual barometers, if you can figure out some of the things that sometimes piss you off and sometimes don't, that's a spiritual barometer. We all have them for ourselves, a way of knowing how we are. And once we know how we are, we might be able to move from there. I'm going to move on to our next one. This is a really fast review. Is this feeling like a really fast review?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Small,
face.
medium, large, WPP, which I always have to thank my friend Bob for the WPP. I never knew a good acronym for it, but I do. Small, medium, large, WPP was the different rungs of a ladder of commitment. How committed you are to something, you can find out by looking at SMLWPP. Is this something that you feel you should do? You got to read it with the S there. Is it something that you might do? Is it something that you'd like to do? Is it something that you want to do? And notice these are all getting more and more. I should be nice to myself. I might be nice to myself. I'd like to be nice to myself. And then even beyond that, I want to be nice to myself. And then there are two more after that. I plan to be nice to myself. And then the last one, that's where the money's at. I promise to be nice to myself. And when someone says something like, I swear to God I will, that brings it all the way to this level here. That it's something that I promise, I will make sure this happens no matter what. So levels of commitment go should, might, like, want, plan, promise. And what we did a long time ago in a service was we played this game and we broke into small groups. And you can try this by yourself or with a friend. Is you can say out loud, whatever the thing is you are struggling with. You say, I should do fundraising on Monday. I want to do fundraising on Monday. I'd like to do fundraising on Monday. And then at a certain point, you can hear in your own voice where you're lying to yourself. I want to do fundraising on Monday. I don't want to do fundraising on Monday. I know that. I'd like to, but I can also say I plan to do fundraising on Monday, but promise I'm not up to that yet. So here we go. We're going to take a look, see if we can get them. Can you go through them? Uh-oh, first. What are the letters going down?
SMLWPP.
And just ask yourself right now, do you remember what this one is? This is
Should, might, like to, want to, plan to, promise.
That's fantastic. Those are those. Oh, wait, question. If we went back and we looked at love, do you remember those?
Recognize,
Accept,
understand,
respond.
There are 5 stages to learning. You might not know how to do it at all. You might know how to do it fluidly. But in between, there are 3 other stages. Stage 2 is you need somebody
lot
a
of
lot of help. Stage 3,
something from outside.
external help. And then number 4,
You need self-help.
self-help. And the bonus on this one, for extra credit, is when we are stressed, we fall down a number. When we are stressed, we fall down a number, which is when I have trained myself, when I start talking to myself, oh, come on, Brian, you should know how to do this. It lets me know that I'm not at my best place. Why? Because I'm back to giving myself hints. I'm talking to myself. Why do you talk to yourself? Because you're not feeling that comfortable in whatever the hell it is you're doing.
Like a spiritual barometer?
It is like a spiritual barometer. It gives you a sense of where you are with what you're doing. Thank you, Kip.
Very nice.
Let me put this one up on the board. There are 5 pictures here, little pictographs. I'm pretty sure if you've been with us for a little bit of time, you know these 5 pictures are 5 or 6 elements of
Spirituality.
Life.
And I'm going to use the trademark spiritual-religious. Spiritual-religious life has these 5 qualities in them. The 5 qualities of a spiritual-religious life are that a spiritual-religious life has a
Hierarchy of
hierarchy of values, and that's where kindness and love that I keep talking about come in. We all put those as more important. It's more important to be loving than it is to being right.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Y'all hearing that? Because that's really important. That brings me to something that came up. Oh, we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one in a moment. No, we're going to go to that one right now. We had talked about that in being righteously indignant, there's usually a moment. There's a little extra sound on the line. I don't know if everyone can hear that low mumbling.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a dog snoring somewhere.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I thought it was
That's hilarious.
If one of the people who is, let's all be quiet for a second, and then hopefully the sound of the dog snoring will show up. Okay, well, is that an echo on my line?
It is an echo.
Hold on, I'm gonna change microphones. All right, let's try that. Better?
Better.
No dogs on the line. Good.
Much better.
We talked about righteous indignation is often fueled by jealousy. And this question came up, and I wanted us to come back to it, is how can I be wrong when I know that I'm right? How can I be wrong when I know that I'm right? I know that I'm right that everyone should be taking care of themselves and getting themselves vaccinating and washing their hands and wearing masks. So how can I be wrong if I'm yelling at the people to do that? And the answer is if I'm yelling at the people to do that, I'm not doing it right. Because at the highest level here is we put love and kindness. And yelling at another human being is not loving and kind. If it's the only thing you can do at the time and they were picking on someone and you're in the parking lot now looking for a headset underneath a car, I think we can make an exception. I don't know what to do about the microphone situation, folks. We're going to just have to deal with that weird.
Bob has his hand up.
Oh, Bob, go ahead. I saw that earlier.
I just wanted to not interrupt, but when we're remembering people, that I think today is a national firefighters recognition for those who gave their lives in the line of duty.
Thank you for adding those people in, Bob. Appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you for waiting patiently. I apologize for not calling on you earlier.
No problem.
So on a spiritual religious life, kindness is at the top, love is at the top. Let's talk about some of the other qualities of a spiritual religious life. We have hierarchy of values. A spiritual life is always a life that has in it transformation, that we're moving from one thing to another, always. A spiritual religious life has in it
not all about me.
Knowing that it's about service. Of course it is about you. You are important, but it's also about service and serving others. A spiritual religious life has a sense of
The infinite.
Eternity.
Of the infinite of connection, there are a multitude of words for the same thing as there ought to be. And then this is my favorite one. A spiritual religious life is a life where we know that there are more than
Questions and
Questions and
there are
answers.
more questions than answers. Beautifully done. Let's try another one. Hold on. Anger. We've talked about anger a lot. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Let me repeat that again because you don't hear that from religious leaders often. There is nothing wrong with being angry. Being angry is a human... Oh, this microphone thing is just driving me batty, isn't it? Anger is fine. But there are 4 parts to anger that Aristotle tells us. Rage is never a good thing. There are 4 parts to anger. Anyone can be angry, that is easy, but if we are to do anger the right way, we should be doing anger this way. We should be doing anger at the right
person.
at the right person, at the right
Time.
at the right time.
And the right reason.
We have to get angry at the right person in the right amount. You can get angry at the right person at the right time, but if you're taking out all your frustrations on that person, that ain't cool. And finally, the last one is anyone can be angry. That is easy, but to be angry at the right person at the right time in the right amount and for the right
Reason.
and for the right reason. That is not easy. And that's something we are all tasked with doing. We're doing great. Let me keep going. Tamakatri Roy. That's the way I wrote it down. That was our homework once. And I'll give an example of it first. Annie came in to give me a kiss. I had gone to bed before the kids because they're getting older and they stay up later and I don't. And she came in and she gave me a little kiss on my forehead as I often do to her when I put her to bed. But I had already somewhat fallen asleep. And when she kissed me on the forehead, she scared the shit out of me. And I screamed. And I flailed my arms up and I hit her in the nose with the back of my hand.
Oh, no.
No, I did. This all explains that these letters all have to do with that. The meaning of communication is in the response elicited regardless of intention. The meaning of communication is in the response elicited regardless of intention. Annie had great intention. She scared the crap out of me. That was not her intention, but that was the meaning of her kissing me on the head, was in scaring me. I didn't mean to hit my daughter in the face with the back of my hand, but the meaning is in how it's received, not in how we intend it. This is a really rough lesson that we all need to remember. See if you can get it with me. The meaning of
Communication
is in the response
elicited,
regardless
of intention.
Wonderful. Meaning of communication is in the response elicited regardless of intention. This one we did a long time ago. These were stages towards, I'll give you a hint. The last word here is acceptance. But before we get to acceptance, we still have the dabda. This is off the work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Denial.
Yeah, so the first stages towards acceptance, often something happens. The first thing we have often is denial. I remember we went out to Queens to my grandmother to tell her that her brother had passed away. And we said, Grandma, Murray died. And she said, not my Murray. That's denial. Denial. That's a normal thing. Something terrible happens. Our first response is, Oh, I got audited by the IRS? No, they must have a mistake. That's not true. Oh, I got a term paper due in 3 days? Well, there's no way that can actually be true. Denial. Often, denial moves... Anger. We're good with that one. Fucking IRS, how dare they? How can that teacher or professor give me that teacher's an awful human being? Anger. I don't understand how people cannot vaccinate. I hate those people. They're idiots. B is bargaining.
Yeah.
Bargaining. Well, I guess it will give me a chance to sort out all my taxes, and maybe I'm actually due for some extra money back. Bargaining. Maybe it's not so bad. We can heal things through the country, through the vaccines. Depression. And we don't always hit all of them, and we don't hit them necessarily in order. But depression is, I can't believe that's true. I'm mad that that's true. I guess there's something good in it. It's true. And then this one I think often is before we can accept something in our heart, we accept it in our mind.
Come here, Cole.
We go one at a time. Good works. Good works. Here's one more, and this one is going to be unfair to do quickly. This is one we've used a lot to look at different circumstances and situations, and it's a matrix by a guy named Eli Goldratt. That should be a G. Goldratt. It's his change matrix. And it looks like this. There are always, when we're looking at something to be done, when we're looking to change anything, there are 4 situations to look at. Delta being the Greek letter meaning change. Here's if we don't change, that's this row. Here's if we change, that's that row. Here are the benefits, that's this column. Here are the negatives, here are the detriments, that's this column. Let's say we're playing with being kinder to other people. The goal is to be kinder to all other people and to have more love in our lives. Okay, that's great. We think of this one, maybe I'll do it with the pictures instead. This is a pot of gold. This is our goal. This is the thing that we want.
Come on.
This is...
Come on, Cole. Come on. Do it.
There's a pot of gold. This is the thing we want. If we change, we're going to get those benefits. If we don't change, and we stay exactly as we are, there's going to be this monster. There's this terrible thing that will befall us if we continue to be how we are, if things continue as they are. This corner here, if we don't change, there's a benefit to not changing. And this one takes us a while to get our heads around. But there's a reason we hold on to our righteous indignation. There's a reason we hold on to being angry at people. Why? Because if I'm really angry at people, I get this lovely cathartic blah. I get to let all that anger out of myself. And sure, I'm taking it out on someone else, but I feel better. So if I'm to give up my anger, I'm going to lose this good thing that I currently have. And we have to always look at what are we trading off in order to get the gold. Yes, we get away from the monster, but we're going to lose something. And we called that one the mermaid because that's the way Goldratt did it. And he explained, and not all of us remembered this, but mermaids are allergic to gold. So if you got gold, you would lose your friendly mermaid. And then over here, this one we called the robber. Because if you got gold and you hadn't had gold before, you're now going to have to deal with something in this change world that you didn't have to deal with before, which is a negative, which is you're now going to have to worry about robbers. There are 4 parts to change. Most things that we are being sold only tell us, hey, do you have too much dandruff? Use this and you'll be a beautiful person. And they don't look at, or we don't consider, well, I like the way my shampoo now smells. I'm going to lose that smell. And I'm now going to have to deal with something that I never had to deal with before, which is, I can't even think of how the analogy goes for that. So I'm going to stop on that.
Boring smelling hair.
People hate you because you have good hair.
Right. People hate you because you have good hair. You've never had to deal with that. Nobody hated you before, but now they hate you because look at that person. They have good hair. I hate them. Obviously, they don't go to this service because they don't understand about anger very well, but that's all right. I got a few more here.
Oh, Cole, come up here.
We talked about if we can do it right. And this was with the kids and the coin. Was, remember, I had given it. I'll say it out first. Is that within every complaint, if we look at it properly, we can see there's a commitment in it. A few weeks ago, I had said to everyone who was in an intergenerational group, because I love the fact that parents and kids come to this service together, I said you would get a coin. And Annie came downstairs after the service and she said, Dad, that's the worst prize that has ever been given out in the history of ever. Right, and this one's a funny one and it's easy to do, especially because it's not yours, it's mine. Within her complaint, those are terrible prizes. You can hear that there's a commitment. I want people to enjoy the service. I want people to feel like they're getting something. That there's a commitment, because if she didn't care at all, she wouldn't have said. And this one is this is a keep going. Good luck on this one. That takes a while. Gratitude is mathematical. It is made out of three things. Gratitude is something minus something. Gratitude is thankfulness, the number of times you are consciously thankful, minus the number of times you utter complaints. Your gratitude is, you have two ways of fixing this. If you want to have more gratitude in your life, you can up the orange and down the blue. Most of us instantly go towards how can I be more thankful, where I think the more effective lever to turn is to train yourself to stop complaining. Again, that's not necessarily just complaints in your head. Those are ones that come out of your mouth. We've also said this. Oh my gosh, we have so much going on. We said that here's a little guy. He's got a letter O on him. And here's another one who's got a T. Oh, here they are. Wait, I have the original stick figures.
Much better.
Much better.
Thank you. I did do it with a J, but let's. I'm trying to stay myself consistent here. So this pink one is a T. This white one is an O. That we observe something. We always observe something before we think something. They go in this order. Observe and then think. We don't have control over what we observe. What we observe, we have no control over. That's just what we happen to notice. Oh, there's that weird echo on the line. Oh, there's a dog that's barking. Rabbi needs to up his game. Rabbi sucks. That's a thought. Those we have control over. Oh, that dog, I hear that dog. Somebody needs to be in charge of that dog better. These we don't have control over, observations, but our thoughts we do. And the more space you can put between your observations and your thoughts, the better off. Okay, I have just a few more. I'm racing through these. There's one key word missing from this.
I.
I. Thank you. We practiced this a long time ago. Of if we say I thank you, it brings us back into the equation and we can have a little bit up on our gratitude that way. There are two causes to anger. There are two causes to anger. Anger is caused by not getting what we want or
Getting what we don't want.
Or getting what we don't want. And just knowing that can help take some of the sting out. This one was one of our first. See if you can, and November is going to be gratitude month. We're only going to be talking about gratitude for the entire month of November unless I change my mind.
It's like, Rabbi showing you
See if in this week you can do the substitution. Instead of saying I have to undo the dishwasher, I get to undo the dishwasher.
So do we have to talk about gratitude all month, or do we get to talk about gratitude all month?
Yes. Yes.
Be thankful you can talk.
I want to.
I want to talk about it.
There's one last one that I have here. And then I'll hopefully be able to, I made a little review chart. Looks like this.
I love it. Very nice.
And this one, I don't want to draw on it, but there are 6 love languages. Officially, there are 5, but I added one in. There are 5 love languages, and these are different ways that people like to get their love. Some people like words of affirmation. And you need to know for the people around you, and you might even just ask them straight out, which ones do you like the most? Because I want to be able to show you love in the way that makes sense to you. Do you like words of affirmation? Do you like acts of service? As soon as I'm done here, I am working for Jane. I am moving shit around the yard. She loves when somebody does stuff for her. And he likes that stuff too. Acts of service. Physical touch. Is that the love language? Quality time. I love quality time with people. That's my favorite one. Gifts. Is that a way that you show love? And is that a way that they like to receive love? You need to know that one. And then ethics or commitment. That's the one that I added in because it wasn't in the original list. To me, if you say you're going to do something and you do it, that's loving. You say you're going to do something, you don't do it, that's not loving. To me, that one's very important. I do not tolerate very well when that one's not held up. Okay, we have made it all the way to almost the next hour. I did not get to do much on the announcements. There is, I will say, and we miss Alex being here today. There is, I'm going to put it into the chat. There's the form in the chat. If there is anyone you want to add to Rabbi Brian's poo-poo list, because you're mad at them and you don't know what to do with your anger about them, I have offered as a service to you my poo-poo list. Do not give me last names. But currently right now on the poo-poo list are someone named Lori and someone named Joanne. And they are in deep trouble by me. And if you think it would help you to know that this rabbi does not tolerate that shit from that person, fill it out on the form. It's a little public service that I like to give. Rabbi Brian's poo-poo list. Do not use names. So usually at 40 minutes we do a summary with 2 points, and the 2 points get emailed out to everyone. As we are running out of time, I'm just going to use some of the review that we did. And I'm going to just use that as our points of memory, because I do keep to time commitments like such a white man. It is just embarrassing at how fixed I am like that. Stick around if you like the second hour. Joe's running donuts. Kip, you running a deep dive?
Yep.
Kip's running deep dive. A poetry room will be open. The Wild West room is open. But let's close out our service by everybody saying a nice goodbye and wave to each other.
Bye, Infinity Man.
Bye, everybody. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you next week.